Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Green Gaming. It's something Mountain Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming at you with a new Let's Play episode of Temptations Ballad. That's right, y'all. The new chapter of Temptations Ballad is out. We got plenty more content to get through, so let's go ahead and jump in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Oh, the new character art, by the way. Okay. Maeve Osmia. Years, head of House Osmia diplomat. Class, Druid Circle of the Swarm, Wizard School of Divination. Very high charisma and wisdom. Pretty decent strength, too. She's all around really, really good. I hope to one day return the favor. A survivor of the dread locust famine, Maeve Osmia made it her life's mission to lead her fellow druids on the path to recovery and prosperity. After the great disaster, a singular memory was burned inside her mind. That of her countrymen, famished and gaunt, clawing at Axia's closed gates while cursed locusts descended upon their flesh. She held no love for the Axian nobility for their apathy. Often open disdain bled through like an opened wound when her patience ran dry. However, Maeve eventually deemed the nobility a necessary evil during her efforts to grow House Osmia, and she soon developed into a formidable diplomat. Her honeyed words twisted countless haughty nobles to her advantage, despite her young age. With her rise to power came the bitter promise, never again. Items. Face veil. Those who first meet Maeve Osmia assume her face veil was a cultural accessory of the exterior druids. They would be woefully incorrect. Maeve's advisors insisted that she wear it to cover her face at the beginning of her career as the head of House Osmia. It was rather difficult to make noble allies when she was constantly visibly annoyed in their presence. Maeve eventually got better at the whole being nice to nobles business, but decided to continue wearing her veil since it gave her an air of mystery, an advantage she valued during negotiations. Sickle and portable hive. As the head of the house that controls around 80% of Axia's food production, Maeve was no stranger to assassination attempts. She never went anywhere without her trusty sickle blade strapped to her thigh. Though fearsome, her assailants were often more worried about the swarms of angry bees that she summoned to her defense. The Axian nobility's assassination attempts decreased dramatically after Maeve began dropping off their hired blades on their doorsteps along with a complimentary beehive. The portable hive she carried contained the same enchantments as a bag of holding, and housed an entire network of bee swarms at her disposal. Tarot cards. Druidcraft was looked down on in Axian society as a lesser form of magic reserved for farmers and their uncivilized ilk. In an effort to be taken more seriously, Maeve began studying wizardry shortly after becoming a figurehead of the druid community. It was then that she discovered that wizardry was atrociously boring. She chose to focus on the school of divination on a whim because predicting the future sounded mildly interesting. Instead, she found that divination was absolutely bullshit and consisted of a bunch of people throwing out wild predictions and hoping one of them would stick. The tarot cards, tea leaves, and dramatic prophecies were just there for flavor. Maeve passed her classes with flying colors via the power of stating the obvious and using druidcraft to forecast the weather. She made divination history with a record-breaking prophecy accuracy of 64%, an achievement that Maeve loathed with her entire being. Alright, who we got next? Yes. Calder O'Shaughnessy. A little troublemaker, but who'll probably prove useful sometime later. Species, striped hyena. Age 25 years. Profession, heir of House O'Shaughnessy. Arcane scholar. Class, wizard, order of scribes. It's very high intelligence, but it doesn't seem to fucking doing much. And wisdom. Apparently he has really high wisdom as well. The person I want to be? Irrelevant. The person I want to be? Irrelevant. My family name comes before all else, and unlike my forebears, I will not forsake my duty. House O'Shaughnessy was an old and respected family in Axia's magical community, boasting generations of gifted scholars and mages. The house also had a long-standing history with both the church and the royal family in assisting their magical endeavors. Alas, their reputation had fallen over the years, and its future now laid on the shoulders of its last heir, Calder O'Shaughnessy. His mother, the late Harriet O'Shaughnessy, was the genius behind the proliferation of arcane crystal technology among the common people. She unfortunately died during childbirth, leaving Calder to be raised alone by his grandfather, Gaius O'Shaughnessy. Filled with tales of his family's great deeds, Calder toiled tirelessly in his studies to one day become worthy of his name. He spent most of his life studying within the cold walls of the O'Shaughnessy Manor, leaving him with few friends or time for anything else. He has yet to achieve anything of note. Items: Wizard Quill and Arcane Tome. As a wizard, Order of Scribes, Calder wielded an arcane tome as his spellcasting focus alongside a quill that never ran out of ink. His magical prowess was painfully average, to the great disappointment of his grandfather. Calder had always struggled with spellcasting on the fly and preferred ritual casting, the art of etching spell glyphs on ink and paper and storing them for later use. Unfortunately, people usually didn't wait for him to finish spending 10 minutes scribbling spells in his book in the middle of a wizard duel. Calder has loudly proclaimed that combat was barbaric and beneath him, opting to turn his focus to more scholarly pursuits. Elegant fan. An old keepsake from Calder's late mother. He never truly met her, but grew up hearing tales of her elegance and grace. Harriet O'Shaughnessy was a champion of the common folk, and easily the most well-loved O'Shaughnessy sibling of the previous generation. She challenged the old-fashioned view that magic was for those of noble blood. Harriet insisted that a shared prosperity would benefit all of Axia, and pushed for arcane crystals to be accessible to all. The late King Roderick approved of her ambitious vision, and together they ushered Axia into the magical powerhouse it was today. It's like, oh, water time. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Let's jump back into it, shall we? Okay. Gaius O'Shaughnessy often lamented the passing of his daughter, and wondered out loud if her death was truly worth such a mediocre grandson. That's harsh as hell. I don't wonder why he has problems. Alright. Agatha Stokes. Her intelligence is, Her intelligence and wisdom are very, very high. Back then, I would imagine the child I'd bring into the world. A little one that I could raise into a beautiful grown person. Someone to pass my love to. I would name her Rosie. There are many whispers within scholarly circles about precisely why a talented enchanter like Agatha Stokes was removed from the royal family's service. The public story was that King Roderick grew furious because Agatha was unable to save his dying wife from her chronic sickness. But why? It was rather unwise to fire the enchanter years before Queen Tabitha inevitably succumbed to the disease. Agatha Stokes and King Roderick were also close friends who worked together for years. Wouldn't the king prefer to have such a trusted associate to tend to his wife? Rumors spread from ear to ear in hushed whispers. They say that several years ago, Agatha Stokes was seen storming into the 14th laboratory where King Roderick worked on his closely guarded projects. Screams and shouts echoed through the halls, and soon anger turned to blind rage. A necrotic explosion tore a large crater into the basement of the laboratory. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt, but the lab was shut down soon after. No plant life grew within the blasted heath to this day. Afterward, the enchanter was quietly let go. She had not spoken to the king since. Items. Wizard staff. Agatha used a caduceus-style wizard staff as her spellcasting focus, a trademark of doctors, medics, and less commonly, necromancers. While necromancy was often looked down upon by the general public as a deathly dark art, Agatha insisted the opposite. It was the study of life, how energy flowed, flourished, and eventually withered away. The multiple miscarriages she suffered throughout her youth had left her behind painful scars and a stubborn determination. Agatha dedicated herself to this school of magic for one singular purpose: to discover a way to create true life, to finally fulfill her dream of becoming a mother. After her fallout with the royal family, she had since given up on this dream. Demonic Ruby. A small, cursed ruby containing the envy demon Zelos. When Agatha first coaxed the infernal creature from its crystal, Zelos promptly copied her face, stole her coin purse, and stormed through the market district, buying every snack in sight. Apparently tasty food was in short supply in the infernal plane. She managed to lure the demon back to her home with the promise of more snacks, preferably cheesy bread and entertainment if she followed along with her schemes. Keeping this demon in check was like wrangling a small restless child, Agatha noted bitterly. She sometimes wondered how much smoother her plans would be if she had stolen one of the other rubies instead. Scrying orb. Second now. Water time. Okay. As a public safety enchanter, Agatha had installed a countless number of arcane crystals throughout the city, and some of them were rather dubious. With her scrying orb, she could access these crystals and use them as her eyes and ears. She seemed to have a particular interest in the royal family's palace and the remains of the 14th laboratory. Agatha also used the orb to avoid the city watch sheriff whenever he had the urge to complain about her workmanship. Minimum wage begets minimum effort, after all. Return to main menu. Okay. Alright, so we are ready to officially start Chapter 4, y'all. Skip and proceed to Chapter 4. Proceeding. Chapter 4. Fracture. Oh. Royal Palace. Bedchambers. A frustrated scream shook through the thick walls of the royal palace. At the topmost floor of the castle, Prince Cassius paced across the royal chambers in a nervous fit. He tore the dark obsidian crown from atop his head and tossed it across the room, its metallic frame clattering against the floor with an empty tink. The young peacock fell to his knees in a defeated slump. His eyes stung with anxious tears as he tore at his own scalp in frustration. No, it wasn't supposed to turn out this way! What would Father think? Oh, he's actually really cute. Footsteps approached from outside his room. There was a pause and a knock before Knight Commander Grank poked his head through the door, brows furrowed with concern. Your Highness, is everything all right? No, nothing is all right. Everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. He glanced up at the tall knight tearfully. I'm not supposed to be here. I can't do any of this. The young prince plucked the black crown off the cold floor and gripped it in his hands. His eyes searched the polished metallic surface for any sign of hope, but only his despairing reflection stared back. Quietly, he placed the obsidian crown back on his head and held his breath, as though waiting for something to happen. Several minutes of silence passed before he let out a defeated sigh. This is supposed to fix me. Knight Commander Grank shot him a sympathetic smile. Well, there was supposed to be a couple of rubies in that fancy hat of yours. Perhaps they were necessary for the ritual. Cassius shook his head warily. No, Father wanted the rubies to be lost and scattered across the city. The crown had an entirely different function, and it clearly was not functioning. The young prince could feel his own pulse quickening at the thought. What would Father think of his failure if he were here? He could imagine his fury even now. It slowly became hard to breathe as Cassius struggled to keep the terror from beating out of his chest. A large, warm hand rested on his shoulder, and he looked up to see Sir Grank's kind gaze. That's enough marinating in your own thoughts for tonight, lad. Why don't we grab you a nice cup of tea and get you some sleep? A cup of tea will hardly fix the problem, Sir Grank. And neither will running yourself ragged, lad. Given the choice, I'd prefer to make myself comfortable. Cassius bit his tongue, a hot flash of irritation prickling across his face. I don't have the luxury of comfort. My father is dead. My mother is dead. They were counting on me. If I can't carry out my duties, what am I even good for? Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. It is good to be back doing Temptations Ballad, y'all. That was definitely a popular one back in the day. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!